prepare yourself for a biased opinion. What's going on, YouTube? Alright, I'm just gonna jump right into this thing. Sport bike versus cruiser. I'm gonna start off by saying it's up to the rider. It is up to the person. It is up to the individual. You can't just say which one's better, okay? In this video, I'm just gonna go over the pros and cons of each. I can't tell you what to buy. At the end of the day, you're just gonna have to look within yourself and get what you want, not what anyone else wants. It doesn't matter what the people on the internet think. It doesn't matter what your friends think. Even if all your friends own sport bikes and you want a cruiser, get a cruiser. You will be disappointed if you don't. If you get something that somebody else wants you to get. I think I'll start off on the cons list on the cruiser. You're gonna have to excuse my nose. Ugh. I have to keep rubbing my nose. My allergies are killing me. Absolutely killing me. Murder. So, where was I? Oh yeah, I think I'll start off on the cons list on the cruiser, and then I'll go cons list, sport bike, pros, cruiser, pros, sport bike. So this first con is more for Japanese cruisers. So the con is everyone thinks you're a Harley Davidson. They'll ask you, oh, nice Harley. Or they'll ask you, what do you ride, a Harley? And you're like, no. It's a very hard question because most people, they don't know. They just think this style is Harley and then the other style is Japanese. They don't realize that Yamaha, Suzuki, Honda, Kawasaki, they all make cruisers. So that's kind of my first complaint. And that's really just for us. My second con, and this is actually probably the real con, is it's not the hip thing. Owning a cruiser isn't the young man's thing. If you're 25 and you're looking to buy a bike, the cruiser isn't the most popular choice. I don't know why that is, it just is. It actually was really hard for me to come up with cons on the cruiser. Okay, so if you guys can think of another con, let me know. Because I don't know why, I just can't think of any. I mean, you could say they're slow, but that's more of a, they're not slow. I've put the fast thing in the pros category for the sports bike. I can't put, well, the con is it's slow. No, the pro is that the sport bike's fast. So that's not relatable. So besides those two, there's not really a con. Okay, so I'll move on. I'll move on to the cons on the sport bike. So the first con I have, I'll just start with value. So, in my experience, as what I have what I have gathered, that's better. What I have gathered from my knowledge of motorcycles is that the resale value on sport bikes is not as good as cruisers. I know one of my buddies, I know a guy that has a sport bike and sold a sport bike. He bought it brand new for $12,000, sold it a year later for like $7,500. Would lose like $4,000. Lost $4,000 in a year. And he hardly even drove the thing. I think it had like 500 miles, maybe 1,000 miles on it. That is that is bad. I don't know, I'm not sure exactly what the resale value on like the Bolt is, or another cruiser, but I know Harley's is pretty good. The resale value on Harley's are pretty good. I know somebody that bought a Harley for like 16 and sold it for like 14. So, and then he had it for like 2 years. So, in my experience of those two incidents, that would be my first con, is value. You're gonna lose your value on your sport bike. Let's say you get a sport bike and you're like, you know what, I don't even like motorcycles. Why did I do this? And then you sell it, and then you're fucked out $4,000. So that'd be my first. Con. My second con, we'll just stay on value here, is it's going to be more expensive to own a sport bike because of insurance. To insurance a sport bike, especially at my age, it's like double what it would cost for this. Now, every person is different. Insurance is like that. I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be somebody that comments, hey, I have a sport bike and I only pay $55 a month for full coverage. Well, every case is completely different. Alrighty. It's a nice day here in Roswell, New Mexico. Alright, so where was I? Okay, cons. We're still on cons. Cons on the sport bike. So my third con is they're more dangerous. Now, before everyone jumps down my throat, they are more dangerous. Okay? And why they're more dangerous in my eyes is that they're quiet. When I first got this motorcycle, I could tell that no one could hear me. You could just tell how the traffic would move, that they did not realize you were there. As soon as I got these pipes, I automatically saw a difference in traffic. I saw that everyone noticed I was around. Even if they weren't looking at me, you could, just how they hold the steering wheel and how they drift in and out of lanes, you can read vehicles. Owning a motorcycle, you learn how to read vehicles, and you could read in their driving that they were aware that I was around, and I loved that. On a sport bike, it's not like that. You are quiet. You are invisible. You are completely invisible. People see right through you. Even if you put a slip-on exhaust and you sound all brappy, it helps, but not as much as this thing rumbling in their chest while they're sitting in their car. I've driven a car, I've driven my wife's vehicle, and my friend was driving my motorcycle, and even with the music up, I could still hear my motorcycle with my music on in my wife's truck. This might be a separate con, it might be the same con, but what you want to do on a sport bike is go fast. That's, you hop on the motorcycle to go fast. Even if you want to just cruise, you really kind of just want to take a corner. Speaking of taking a corner, out here, there is no corners. I mean, you have to go to the bypass to find a corner, to find a twisty, or the mountains. So, that completes my con list for a sport bike. And then let's move on. Let's go to the pros. I like pros. Pros are much better. Wow, I just realized how I have these all set up. This is gonna sound like I'm bashing on sport bikes for the first half of the video. So, pros on a cruiser. I think the first pro on a cruiser is just gonna be they're more relaxing. They're just so much more chill. You're in more of a relaxed position. You take a long trip. I don't know, these are all just who you are. I mean, if you want to if you want to get on a bike and you want to pop a wheelie and go 160 miles an hour, a cruiser is not for you. Even though I can't pop wheelies on this thing. That's another video. So, they're just more relaxing. You got more relaxed stance. They're comfortable. These are all things you guys already know. Oh, I just thought of a con. Oh, I just thought of a con for this bike. So another con is that they're expensive. Everything you want to put on this bike is going to be expensive. An exhaust system is going to cost you anywhere between $800 to $4,000, depending on what kind of bike you want to do and if you're going to do it yourself. So cons on these bikes, every little thing. I think this bezel right here is like 50 bucks if I want to get another bezel. Like, it's ridiculous. 50 bucks for a bezel? I mean, come on, that's a little piece of plastic that probably cost somebody $4 to make. I'm trying to think of something else that is really expensive. Everything is expensive. This mirror probably costs like $75. I know these caps right here, I don't even know if the camera can see them. They're just the crankcase caps. They're just the caps, that's all they are. They just like cover the bolt it is to take the whole thing off or something. Okay, so these little caps, they cost like $90 for one. Everything is really expensive on a cruiser. It might be the same way with a sport bike. I don't know. I've never bought anything for a sport bike, but I know for a cruiser, effing expensive. New grips, expensive. A new headlight, expensive. I mean, these people, everyone pays for these things. Ah, my nose. So everyone pays these things because they have to. I mean, you could be all like, well, it's not that expensive. Well, okay, would you rather it be a lot less expensive? Because it could be. So the next pro would be that these are more customizable than a sport bike. I know sport bikes, you can probably put different plastics on it. You can get a new intake and a new slip-on exhaust or whatever. But it goes way more in depth with cruisers. You can literally build a cruiser exactly how you want it. And people do. I mean, how many cruisers have you seen that, I mean, like, are just like, wow. So, I mean, like, you could put a huge ass front tire on it. You can even weld like a skeleton hand right here like that. Like, if you want to, like holding onto the tank. You can, I don't know, you can cut this fender off and make it just a tire in the back. You can drop it down low. You can, obviously the exhaust is one of the first things. You can put two headlights up here. I could put mud tires on this thing. I mean, like, the possibilities are endless with a cruiser. So I would say they're more customizable. Maybe a pro. So my next pro is kind of in the con too, because you know I said that these aren't the hip thing. That was a con, that they're not hip. Well, I would say a pro to it would be rallies. If you go to a motorcycle rally, which is really popular in the South, well, really kind of anywhere, but I love going to rallies. Rallies are one of my favorite things to do on my motorcycle. Travel long distances to go to a rally. And on a sport bike, I've always felt sorry for the sport bike when I'm at a rally, because you have like 70 to 80,000 motorcycles and probably only 2% of them are sport bikes. So I always feel sorry for that guy that is by himself on a sport bike. He comes to the rally, wants to kind of be a part of the whole bike thing, and he's just like there, you know, like he doesn't have any other sport bikers. Where does he even park? I don't even know. Like, anyways, so I would say rallies, like you want to go to a motorcycle rally, you're gonna fit in real well on this style motorcycle. More so if it was a Harley. But that's a good thing about the Bolt, is no one even really knows what it is. A lot of people come to me and like, oh, nice Sportster. I'm like, nice face. Because it's not a Harley. It's not a Sportster. And they're like, what? And they're like, who am I? They have to rethink life. All right, now that it's felt like I've bashed on sport bikes for 10 minutes, let me move on. Don't get me wrong, I like sport bikes. I do. I will own one someday, and it will be right next to this one in the garage. I will not get rid of my cruiser, but I will own a sport bike. Don't get me wrong. I like sport bikes. Alright. So my first pro. Sport bikes are ungodly fast. That is a pro. They are awesomely fast. You're going 40, you want to go 80? You're going 80 now. Like, they are something else. I love the fact that they're fast. I would love to go to the track and have like a track day with my friends. Even though none of my friends own sport bikes, if I had friends, maybe I would gather friends when I get a sport bike. So, yeah, they are fast. It is no secret that they are fast. Oh, so this is one of my favorite places to ride to. It's called Bitter Lakes. It's not much. It's kind of, actually it's nothing at all. It's just a building. But it's nice public land, and it has benches. Usually it's pretty nice out here. Sometimes windy, but it's always windy. But yeah, look at it. It's pretty. You got flowers. You got little ponds there. It's like a sanctuary is what it is for migratory birds. But I don't know how well the GoPro's picking any of this up, so I'll move along. I usually go back behind this building. They have benches and picnic tables and places to sit, and you'll overlook the view. But I know how well the GoPro doesn't show views, so I'll move on. Alright, so my second one is on sport bikes is the twisties. Up in the mountains, there's lots of twisties, lots of fun places to ride a sport bike. Down here, not so much. That's probably why there's like very few sport bikes here in Roswell. But the twisties, they're amazing. I hate the fact that I'll scrape pegs when I'm on this motorcycle. I run out of room sometimes, but not very often. Not very often. I probably scrape pegs like, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. I can if I want to, but I know right where they are. But I would love to have something that I wouldn't scrape pegs on, that I know that I could just fucking hit this corner and it'd be just like sick. It'd be fun. So I would say my second pro is the twisties. They are amazing at twisties, and I mean that's what they're built for. Built for just you go ridiculously fast and go around the twisties. My next pro for a sport bike is most sport bike wearers wear their gear, and that's a pro. You look better in gear. Sport bike riders look better in gear. Like, let me kind of explain what I'm saying here. If you have a sport bike and you have this badass leather jacket with armor plates in the back, and then the shoulder pads, maybe you got some knee pads, maybe it's a full suit, that's cool too. Like, you can have knee pads, and I mean, you can have a badass full face helmet, which full face helmets everyone knows is a lot safer than a half helmet. So you just, I mean, like, the whole sport bike like fits gear. Like, gear is like made for sport bike riders. It's like really cool. I like wearing my vest, and I have a leather jacket, and I always wear my leather jacket if I'm going out on the highway, if I'm going out of town. I always wear my leather jacket with armor. But if I cruise around town, I'm just gonna wear a short sleeve. Unless it's cold, then I'll wear a jacket. But it's not cold here a lot. So to recap on all this, it's up to you. Are you more of a relaxed rider, someone that just wants to cruise around? It doesn't matter about anyone else, but you can cruise around with your buddies, someone that just kind of wants to cruise around on a motorcycle. And yes, you can go fast on a cruiser. That was a terrible example, but you can go fast on a cruiser. So don't think you're missing out. I have hung with sport bikes before. Most of them don't want to go over the speed limit anyways, because their insurance is so high they can't afford to get a ticket, or they won't have a motorcycle. So don't be afraid that you're not going to keep up with a sport bike, because most of them aren't going to go over the speed limit but in just a few seconds. Or are you that person that just like wants to go really fast down this road, wants to just like, if you're that person, then you know what you need to pick. It's pretty simple. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it helped. For those of you that find this video that just want to recap on everything, that's pretty much it. I know it's like the first time you've ever seen anything like this on YouTube. I know this is the first sport bike versus cruiser motors. This is the only video on YouTube you're gonna find this information. I know it. So I hope it helps. If it doesn't, then that's just fine. Then you're probably lost inside and you don't know what you want. And that's just fine. You can be lost. I was lost for a little while. If you watch my video on iron versus bolt, yeah, my iron versus bolt video, you'll see that I wanted a cruiser, and I will have one someday. But yeah, take it easy, YouTube.